Hi, my name is Anna Mitchell from Sacred Heart Catholic Radio here in Cincinnati, and very excited to be joined by Archbishop Dennis Schnurr to talk about the Beacons of Light initiative. Archbishop, it's good to see you.
Well, Annie, it's good to see you. It's always good to be with you, and a very important topic that we're discussing today.
Yes, it very much is, and I just want to start with the basics first. How is Beacons of Light going to work? I mean, what is going to be happening with my parish as this initiative moves forward?
Well, Beacons of Light is a process that we've initiated in the Archdiocese several months ago. And we're working with consultants, and these consultants have been gathering statistics about how our parishes are functioning, a number of people at masses, number of celebration of the sacraments, just gathering statistics because as we look at the needs of the Church in the Archdiocese of Cincinnati, we are recognizing, and this has been recognized decades ago, because it's this process of evaluating the needs of the Church in the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. This is probably the fourth attempt, I believe it is. And so the fact that the needs are changing in the Archdiocese, that has been recognized. And reports have been made, but unfortunately those reports, there's been no follow-through on those reports. This one, there has to be a follow-through, because as we look at the needs, one of the things that I am seeing very clearly is that the way we are functioning, the way our parishes are functioning in this archdiocese, it's not sustainable any longer, because there are fewer priests, and these priests are being asked to do more and more. And if this continues, it is already impacting the health and well-being of our priests, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, physically. And needless to say, if that continues, our problems are only going to be compounded, because if our priests are not remaining healthy, then we're not even going to be able to sustain what we have already today. And so the Beacons of Light is a process to look at the needs of our parishes, to see how we can bring those parishes together in another way, a very creative way. We're calling them family of parishes. And a family may contain as many as 6 or 7 parishes, not all, but some, depending upon the size of the parish and the distance between parishes. All of those factors will be taken into account. But we need to undertake this, and we will follow through on this. And virtually every parish in this archdiocese is going to be impacted in one way or another. Now, I don't want people to begin to think that this is going to be a negative thing in any way, because a family of parishes may bring together, as I say, 5, 6, 7 parishes, and there'll be one pastor, but the one pastor will be assisted by one or more parochial vicars or assistant pastors, associate pastors. And because the challenge that we have, one of the great challenges we have today, is the fact that while we are ordaining more men today than what we have more men in the seminary today than what we've had than what we've had in the last 50 years. But the problem is, and actually a third of our active priests have been ordained in the last 10 years. We have about 150 active priests. 50 have been ordained in the last 10 years. Wow. But the challenge that we found is that we've been asking these newly ordained priests to become pastors too soon. And in the seminary, we cannot, the seminary education and formation is based upon philosophy and theology. And some parishes have said, well, why don't you get administration in the seminary? There's no time for that in the seminary. And so this is the way that we have functioned, is that we would put an associate pastor in a parish with a veteran pastor who was experienced in administration, and then the pastor would mentor that young priest. But that's no longer possible today. We have, while we're ordaining more, the older priests are retiring still at a faster rate. And according to our projections, this will continue probably until about 2026. And then then we will have more being ordained than retiring, we estimate. But even in 2026, after we create these family of parishes, that arrangement, in my mind, will remain the same, because I think the family of parish arrangement is going to be a very positive thing. It's going to bring parishes together, and we will assess the resources of those parishes, and then put in place programs that parishes have been asking for, but we've not been able to provide because the resources weren't there. For example, I've heard many appeals for adult education. A very fine thing, needed very badly, should be in a viable parish. But not every parish has the resource to provide that. Bringing parishes together, they will have that.
And I want to get back to that idea, the benefits that this will have to the faithful in just a few moments here. But I want to ask the question that's going to be on everybody's mind here. Is Archbishop Schnurr going to close my parish as a result of this?
Beacons of Light is not focusing on closing parishes at all. What Beacons of Light envisions is that we will bring these parishes together, and we want this family of parishes to work together, and then over time to just assess their needs, how they can work better together. And at some point in that whole process, and this is going to be several years in the making to implement Beacons of Light, but over time, some family of parishes may come to the conclusion that we really don't need all these campuses. We can accomplish this with fewer campuses. And then there may be the decision to reduce a parish church to the status of an oratory or a chapel, but that is going to be decided by the family of parishes. It's not going to be decided by me or anyone or the Archdiocese of Cincinnati.
Now, when it comes to the decision making on how these families of parishes are being formed, I mean, who's making these decisions on how the parishes will form families?
Well, as I said, we have consultants that have done this in other dioceses, and the consultants have been bringing together all the statistics, the information that we need, and they drafted a first model, we might say. That model has already been reviewed it's been reviewed by me, but more importantly, it's been reviewed by some of our priests, the priests who serve as deacons, as the priests who serve as deans throughout the Archdiocese. We have 12 deaneries, and and we have a dean for each of the 12 deaneries. And so those 12 deans have looked over the proposals, and likewise all members of the Presbyteral Council have looked over the proposals. And then at the end of this month, on September the 29th, all the priests of the Archdiocese will come together and look at the proposals, the models. And then after that, the proposals and models will be posted on our website. I think it's beaconsaoc.org. And we are going to ask for comments and suggestions from all of the people of the Archdiocese.
I was going to ask that. Do the faithful get to have some kind of a say in this process?
Oh, yes. I believe the site for them to offer comments, it'll open on October the 1st, and it'll be open until the 20th of October.
Okay. Now, what do you hope will be the benefit to parishioners specifically with this process and bringing parishes together as you've been describing?
Well, the primary goal of any parish, the primary purpose of the church itself, is to lead people to holiness. And through this process, I hope we have the opportunity to look at what is of primary importance in a parish to lead people to holiness, and make certain we're not just going through motions, that we really are undertaking the new evangelization. Every pope since Paul VI has said that we as a Catholic Church really need to engage in the new evangelization. And by the new evangelization he meant, and every pope since then has meant, is that we as Catholics have to learn more about our faith, have to understand our faith more fully. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, that involves a lot of resources. That means resources in the sense of people who are prepared to lead adult education courses, and materials that are available, resource materials, publications that are available for adult education. But the whole purpose of this is to look at our parishes and to revitalize our parishes. You know, the church stands in the stream of time. And if we are simply doing the same thing in the same way because this is what was done 50 years ago, that's not a good model. We need to be forever young, forever changing, because the world around us is forever changing. We stand in the stream of time, and if we just want to stay in one place, time will pass us.
And how is this going to benefit our priests? You know, I think we often first think, oh gosh, how is this going to affect me? But really, we need to be concerned about our pastors as well.
Yeah. Well, the families of parishes, what we want to happen is that the lay people become more involved in this family of parishes and relieve the priests of a lot of the administrative work. We want to move from maintenance, putting maintenance on our priests, to mission. And, you know, for example, with the present model, I know of priests who tell me that because of the number of masses on Sunday and the number of parishes that they have to cover, that they don't have time to remove the vestments, the mass vestments after a mass, but they just jump in the car and drive to the next parish. Well, that's not good for the priest, because how do you, some of the greatest saints have said that to celebrate Mass properly, the priest needs silence before Mass. Well, if he's rushing to the next parish, that's hardly the mood to be putting people, that the priest should assume. But it's also going to help our people, because if we are to lead our people to holiness, we have to get to know our people. But the priests are not getting to know their people if right after Mass they have to jump in the car and go to a neighboring parish. So it'll benefit the priests because it'll give them more time to reflect before entering into the liturgy. It'll benefit our people because they will get to know their priests better, and the priests will get to know them better.
And I mean, to your point about seminary education being focused on philosophy and theology, I mean, a guy doesn't answer the call to the vocation to be an administrator. He wants to be a priest. He wants to minister.
Yeah, he wants to be a shepherd. You know, it's my secretary, when I was still serving in the bishop's office in Sioux City, she got to know me very well, obviously, because she gave me a plaque, and this plaque is still in my office, which says, pastors love feeding the fold. It's committee meetings that leave them cold. And so we have to free our priests to feed the flock.
Absolutely. Now, Archbishop Schnurr, I am sure that there are people watching us right now who are very apprehensive about this. Because, I mean, change in general can be a scary thing, whether it's going to be a positive change or a negative change that they're foreseeing. I mean, and to be honest, it's just simpler to just let things continue as they are, as they always have been. So to hear it said to them that this needs to be different could be a hard truth to swallow, and they might be nervous about it, scared about it, apprehensive, as I said. I mean, how would you encourage those people to think about this process and to have more hope than despair?
Well, first of all, I would urge them to go to the website that I mentioned earlier, beaconsaoc.org, and follow the process. A lot of information is already on that site. So get to know the process and how it's moving forward. See the information that is there. So become a part of the process. Then when they have the opportunity after the 1st of October, feel free to comment. But above all, I think the important thing is that we all pray. That we pray that in this process we are doing the Lord's work. And we ask the Lord to guide us in this so that we do indeed have parishes that are more vibrant and that are in a more complete way fostering the path to holiness for our parishioners. Prayer is essential for all of this. But and it's correct. Change is always difficult. It's much easier to just leave things as they are, as you said, but it's not. We can't continue, as I said earlier. We just are not going to have the manpower and the number of priests that we need. And again, I don't want to put a panic in the archdiocese about the number of priests, that we have fewer priests. This is turning around because thanks to the prayer, the vocation prayer that is recited in virtually every parish in this archdiocese. When 10 years ago we had, I think it was approximately right around 30 seminarians studying for the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. Today we have 60, and it'll continue to grow. But so the situation, we can address this with the number of priests. So I don't want our people going into a panic thinking that this is a downhill road with no hope or no way to turn it around. There is a way to turn it around. We are turning it around. Thanks to the prayers of our people. And just as prayer has been so powerful in turning around the vocation to the priesthood situation in this archdiocese, prayer for beacons of light can turn this archdiocese around, can turn parishes around to something much healthier.
Just one last question. Do you have hope? Are you excited about this? I mean, how are you feeling about Beacons of Light?
I'm very excited about it. And I'm glad that we're doing it at this point in time. As I said, we've had studies like this before, and I've looked at those studies, and there were some good points in those studies, and they probably should have been moved on, but they were not. But I'm excited about this because I do think that this is a necessary step for this archdiocese. I think it's a very positive step for this archdiocese. And I want everyone to look at it, that this is something positive that we are doing in archdiocese. I spoke to a committee of business people not too long ago, and I said to them, you're all very successful business people. Your model of business, is it the same today as it was 50 years ago? And they all said, well, obviously not. And I said, well, the church isn't. I don't want to compare the church to a business, but there are administrative angles to the church that we have to look at, and that's what we're doing here. As I said, to get the priest make it possible for priests to be less involved in administration and more involved in spiritual and pastoral guidance.
Well, I know I'll be following along with this. There's a newsletter that people can sign up to receive to keep up to date on this process at beaconsaoc.org. And that comment period from October 1st to the 20th, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
October 1st to the 20th is where you can get that comment in when all of this really starts happening.
Yeah, we want to involve as many people as possible in this process because if they are involved, then they feel ownership of the project and of the outcome of the project. And as I said, the outcome, of course, that's a few years off complete. And I'm not so sure that, as time goes on, that there will always have to be some fine tuning that goes into all of this as well.
Well, Archbishop Schnurr, really appreciate your time in explaining this to us and just really encouraging the faithful to pray. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I want to greet all of our viewers, too, and to assure them that this is a very prayerful experience, something that we've undertaken with great prayer. And I think we brought in the right people, the right expertise to help us with this. And of course, we want to hear from them. We want to hear from our people, and we are very sensitive to the fact that change is difficult for many, many people. So we want to hear from them, and we want to have the opportunity to reassure them.